Let us pray. Heavenly Father, on this historic day, may you bless President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris and extend to them your amazing grace as they begin the difficult task of leading this land and binding up divisions. May you also extend your blessings and grace on this chamber. Make us ambassadors of comfort and reconciliation. Open our ears that we may listen with respect and understanding. Touch our lips that we may speak words of wisdom. Warm our hearts that we may bring wholeness to the brokenhearted, comfort to the suffering, and dissolve the barriers of division. Guide our work and renew us with the spirit of your love. Help us shape a commonwealth where all will have a place, where the flames of hatred are quenched, and where all can grow together as one. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Good afternoon, Senator.
I respectfully move that the rules of the Senate be suspended, consistent with the motion that was adopted on the first day of the session pertaining to electronic and remote participation, sir.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended? All in favor of suspending the rules will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 0.
Ayes 38, noes 0. The rules are suspended. The clerk will call the roll. All those present will please record their vote aye.
Madam Clerk, you're muted.
A lot of people would like that.
No.
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Can you hear?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. You're unmuted.
Do anything, and then you just start working.
They're all unmuted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Senator Vogel votes aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Mr. President. Senate Journal for Tuesday, January 19th, 2021.
Senator from Washington, Senator Pillion, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. We're going to wait. Chair calls on the senator from Washington, Senator Pillion.
I withdraw my motion.
Senator withdraws his motion. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal. Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Mr. Chairman, I'll have to withdraw my motion.
Chair calls the senator from Washington, Senator Pillion.
I waive the reading of the journal.
Thank the senator. Senator from Washington, Senator Pillion moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 29, noes 10.
Ayes 29, noes 10. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the House of Delegates. The senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I move that we waive the reading of the communications from the other side, the dark side, the House of Delegates.
Thank the senator. Question is, shall the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 36, noes 3.
Ayes 36, noes 3. The reading of the communication is waived. The clerk will report any communication from the governor.
We do not have any, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolutions, petitions, and bills are now in order. Do any senators wish to be recognized? Seeing none, the clerk will call the calendar.
Senate calendar for Wednesday, January 20th, 2021. Uncontested calendar, Senate bill on third reading. Senate Bill 1299, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, sale, and delivery of mixed beverages and pre-mixed wine for off-premises consumption.
Senator from Loudoun County, Senator Bell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move passage of the bill and speaking to the motion.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, this bill is really a bill that codifies the executive orders the governor made that allowed alcohol to go. This has been a lifeline to many of our struggling restaurants and small businesses around the Commonwealth. I will tell you that in Virginia alone, we've had 17% of restaurants closed. As a person who sits on the Small Business Commission in Virginia, 25% of small businesses have closed during the pandemic. So providing a lifeline and helping these businesses during this time is something that I think is very important. I will tell you that we're one of 32 states that have decided during the pandemic to allow this practice. It's worked really well. This actually really just extends this practice, requires a study by ABC, report back to the General Assembly by November 2021. With that, I renew my motion.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1299? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1299 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. Senate Bill 1299 passes.
Senate Bill 1190, a bill to direct the Board of Education to include advanced directive education in its curriculum framework for the health standards of learning for high school students.
The junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Kiggins.
Mr. President, I move the bill's passage and speaking to the bill.
Senator, has the floor.
Mr. President, we worked with the DOE to construct the very simple language of this bill that simply introduces the concept of an advanced directive into high school health curriculum. This is important because 25% of Medicare spending occurs in the last year of life, often on care that has no value. An advanced directive is simply a piece of paper or a form, there's different varieties out there, that allow a patient or a person to have their choices just in writing. So there's no question if they want to be kept alive on machines or if they don't, if they want their spouse making their healthcare, end-of-life healthcare choices, or if they want someone else. But it applies if a patient is incapacitated or unconscious. But just, again, just a simple written form that avoids a lot of unnecessary healthcare just interventions and costs. It's important to me. I see it in my world in primary care frequently. People don't know what advanced directives are. They don't know what things like hospice care, palliative care are. These are important discussions. I think we've seen with the COVID pandemic just the importance of having that in place so patients have their choices heard and end of life and have that option to die with the dignity that they deserve. So I respectfully request everyone support the bill. Thank you.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding Senate Bill 1190? Seeing none, the question is, shall Senate Bill 1190 pass? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 31, noes 8.
Ayes 31, noes 8. Senate Bill 1190 passes.
Uncontested calendar Senate bills on second reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw. Mr. President, I move that all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar, it's pages 2 through 4, and that's Senate Bills 1120 through Senate Bill 1270, be advanced to their engrossment in third reading in a block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, and any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 2 through 4, Senate Bill 1120 through Senate Bill 1270, be engrossed and advanced to their third reading in the block after the adoption of any amendments thereto, and that any senator desiring a bill be removed from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 1120, reported from the Committee on Local Government. Senate Bill 1152, reported from the Committee on Local Government. Senate Bill 1168, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. Senate Bill 1216, reported from the Committee on Local Government. Senate Bill 1241, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary. Senate Bill 1270, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Question is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed and advanced to their third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are engrossed and advanced to their third reading.
Regular calendar Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 1171, a bill relating to the State and Local Government Conflict of Interest Act, disclosure requirements, industrial development authorities, and economic development authorities. Reported from the Committee on General Laws and Technology with an amendment, and there are 7 floor amendments.
Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to withdraw the amendments that I have, and Senator Barker was kind enough to draft one as well, so I would ask that we withdraw them, and it would be my intention at the appropriate time to ask the bill to be engrossed and advanced to its third reading, sir.
Thank the senator. And Senator, we do have a committee amendment. Does Senator Barker, do you want to move the committee amendment?
Let me do two things. First, I ask that the committee amendment be adopted, but with a recommendation that it be rejected so that we can take up the floor amendments that I offered.
Thank the senator. First, just as a point of order, so without objection, Senator Norman's floor amendments are withdrawn at his request. With the recommendation that it be rejected, the question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The noes have it. The committee amendment is rejected. Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
All right, Mr. President, I move that we take up the floor amendments in a block.
Senator, want to waive the reading?
Waive the reading of the floor amendments.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the reading of the floor amendments be waived? All in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading of the floor amendments is waived. Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
Mr. President, what these floor amendments do is that they address the issue that was discussed at the committee level, we have worked on the amendments once we had it in concept in terms of what the committee wanted. What this does is for industrial development authorities and economic development authorities in jurisdictions with a population of less than 25,000, or if it's multiple jurisdictions that have a common economic development or industrial development authority, that those jurisdictions would have less than 25,000 people. If they have less than 25,000 people within that jurisdiction or that set of jurisdictions, then the individuals who are serving on the Economic Development Authority would no longer need to file a statement of economic interest. And that's what's covered in terms of the language that's in the second one, as it makes that provision there. And if I might just quickly address what the issue is here, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Yes, the issue here is that in some of the localities, including one in Senator Norman's part of the Commonwealth, some of those jurisdictions have had difficulty filling positions on the Economic Development and Industrial Development Authorities, and have lost members over the issue of filing the Statement of Economic Interest. What this does is it will make it much easier to be able to attract and retain good people to be able to serve on these boards, and will also, in effect, there's language in there that makes it clear that they have to abide by all provisions related to conflict of interest. And with that, I would move that we adopt these two floor amendments in a block.
Thank the senator. Do any other senators wish to be heard regarding the floor amendments? Seeing none, the question is, shall the floor amendments be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The floor amendments are adopted. Senator from James City County, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I thank Senator Barker. I would respectfully move that Senate Bill 1171 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading, sir.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1122, a bill relating to habitual offenders repeal, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with a substitute.
Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move that the committee substitute be adopted.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Franklin County, Senator Stanley.
Thank you again, Mr. President. I now move that Senate Bill 1122 be engrossed and advanced to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1123, a bill relating to will contest, presumption of undue influence, reported for the Committee on the Judiciary.
Senator from Rockingham, Senator Obenshain.
Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1128, a bill which provided a charter for the city of Norfolk relating to general updates, reported from the Committee on Local Government with a substitute.
Senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee substitute be adopted.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
I ask that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1141, a bill relating to the Hampton Roads Area Refuse Collection Authority financial planning, reported from the Committee on Local Government.
Right here, Mr.
There you go. Senior Senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask this bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1142, a bill relating to persons who may celebrate rights of marriage, members of the General Assembly, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Senior Senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask that this bill be engrossed and passed to its third constitutional reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1157, a bill relating to time of certain local elections, reported for the Committee on Local Government, and there is a floor amendment.
Senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I stand to withdraw the floor amendment.
Without objection, the floor amendment is withdrawn. Senator from Northern Chesapeake, Senator Spruill.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, I ask that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1181, a bill relating to special immigrant juvenile status, jurisdiction, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary.
Senator from Eastern Fairfax, Senator Servell.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1208, a bill relating to continuity of government, reported from the Committee on Local Government.
Senator from Southern Fairfax, Senator Barker.
Mr. President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1285, a bill relating to vacant buildings registration, reported from the Committee on Local Government with amendment.
Senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the amendment be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee amendment is agreed to. Senator from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1309, a bill relating to local stormwater assistance, flood mitigation, and protection, reported from the Committee on Local Government with a substitute.
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Evan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the adoption of the committee substitute.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is adopted. Senator from Alexandria, Senator Evan.
I move the bill now be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 1355, a bill to allow the withdrawal of a member of the Rapidan Service Authority, reported from the Committee on Local Government with a substitute.
Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
Thank the Senator. The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee substitute is agreed to. Senator from Augusta, Senator Hanger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would now ask that the bill go by for the day.
Thank the senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1355 will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, excuse me, I move that all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested and regular calendars, that's pages 8 through 11, Senate Bills 1130 through SB 1276, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading be dispensed with.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first reading of the titles of the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 8 through 11, Senate Bill 1130 through Senate Bill 1276, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
I would now move, Mr. President, those bills go by for the day.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on second reading go by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day. Senior Senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw.
Mr. President, I inquire of the clerk, does that complete our calendar for today?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President?
Senator from Alexandria, Senator Evan.
I believe the senator from Chesapeake had a motion before we conclude
Yes.
our business.
Okay. Senior Senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove.
I thank the gentleman from Alexandria. Mr. President, having voted on the prevailing side where we advanced Senate Bill 1141 to its third reading, I would ask that we reconsider that vote because there's an
I think it's 1142, sir.
You are correct. I'm sorry, 1142. Yes. I would move that we reconsider that vote and leave it on its first reading.
Second reading.
Okay.
Yes, sorry.
The engrossment advancement third reading.
Thanks, Senator.
Mr. President, what I'd like to do with this bill, Senate Bill 1142, is put it in an amendable state. I have spoken with a gentleman from Alexandria. He would like to make an amendment, and I'm fine with it. If we don't reconsider, it's going to be the third reading. It will now be amendable.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 1142 was engrossed in advance to its third reading be reconsidered? All in favor of the motion will record their vote aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Do any senators desire to change their vote?
Senator Vogel, how do you vote?
Senator Vogel votes aye.
Clerk will close the roll.
Mr. President.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The motion is agreed to. The senior senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove.
Sorry about that, Mr. President. I would ask the bill go by for the day.
Thank the senator. Without objection, Senate Bill 1142 will go by for the day. For what purpose does the senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson, rise?
Are we in the morning hour?
Yes.
And I'd rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I want to say how much I enjoyed the inauguration speech, and it's put me in a positive frame of mind. So what I had initially drafted as an angry sort of stem-winding speech, I'm going to take it down a couple notches in deference to what our new president has just said. But I do want to speak candidly about what I regard as the absolute number one issue in the Commonwealth today, and that is the status of our public school system. 305 days. 305 days. That's how long our K-12 public education system has been closed in Fairfax County. Started March 12th with the executive order. It has not been open for in-person learning a single day since. Now, I have gone through the financial budget. I've seen the money we're spending on hold harmless. I've seen the money we're spending on pay increases. I've seen the money we're spending on school counselors. All of this assumes we have a school system which is open for in-person learning. We do not. Let me give you some statistics. Fairfax County Public Schools lost 9,000 students in the fall semester, 9,000. That's larger than a lot of the school divisions here. It's over 5% of the student population. It would have lost thousands more, but for the fact there's a waiting list to get onto every private school in Fairfax County. And of course, a lot of families can't afford private school. He lost 9,000 students. After the first semester, 10,000 students had at least 2 Fs in their grades, which was over a doubling of what would normally be there. Over 2 Fs means basically they didn't participate. It's a very good proxy for students that are simply checked out of the system. That's 10,000 students. So effectively, we've lost 20,000 students. That's 10% of our student body. That doesn't include all the other students that are basically participating in the most marginal and minimal manner. And we have no way of accounting for them. We have no metrics. Basically, we have abandoned these students for the last 305 days. Now, I recognize that there's going to be a lot of opinions on this. There's been a lot of talk about it. And I'm not here necessarily to solve it. I have a very strong opinion, and you're going to know what that opinion is. But let me at least lay out a few principles that we need to talk about as we address the number one issue this session. 1, listen to the scientists. Dr. Fauci himself stressed the importance of in-person learning for students. Nearly every single epidemiologist, nearly every single medical professional has examined this issue, has said it is imperative to return children to in-person learning. It is unacceptable to keep them indefinitely in remote learning. Number 2, let's look at other states. All around us, we see other states where governors are at least making the effort to bring students back to school. California, that we seek to emulate in every single piece of public policy, their governor, who is not exactly a raving conservative, has set a goal of getting kids back in school by February 1st. Bill de Blasio of New York had kids back in school this fall. Okay, this is not a Republican-Democrat issue. This is an issue of making an effort. This is an issue about giving a damn. Number 3, look at other countries. All the time I've been in the assembly, people come to me and say, we need to be like these other countries. We don't need so many guns. We need more social benefits. We need this. We need that. Almost every other country in the industrial world has kids back in school, except for the United States. Number 4, we need a sense of proportionality. Look, we know the toll that's been caused by COVID-19 because of our own beloved Ben Chafin, who's no longer with us. All of us have family members that have been impacted. I've had employees that have been impacted. My employees' families have been impacted. We've all gone through it. The other day, I was home for a weekend and communicated with a constituent whose father had died of COVID. And I said, you know, I'm surprised your father was still alive. How old was he? Well, his father was 99 years old. I'm going to say something that's going to be radical. The death of a 99-year-old is not worth closing school for a 9-year-old. Let me repeat that in case the press didn't hear it. The death of a 99-year-old is not worth closing school for a 9-year-old. Okay, we need some proportionality to what's going on. Number 5, we need to demand accountability. Now, you could not find someone who's been a bigger beneficiary of K-12 education than myself. My great-grandfather founded Fairfax High School. My grandmother fought to integrate the schools. My mom and dad were very active in the schools. I went to Fairfax High School. My daughters graduated from Fairfax High School. They got a great education. My son should be playing middle linebacker on the football team. You know? But the bottom line is, those schools aren't open. I'm a proponent of public education, but we just can't throw money at school systems that remain closed. We have to demand accountability. Simply funding each school system like they're open when they're not is basically telling people, don't bother. Don't bother trying to open because we're just going to treat you the same as people that just remain closed. We need to demand accountability with the taxpayers' dollars, not to protect our taxpayers, but to protect our children. Now, I will simply say to this, I'm a big fan of the people here, my colleagues. And I like the Secretary of Education. He and I have talked. He and I met face to face. He's a tough guy. He's a United States Marine. He's also a social studies teacher in middle school. I can't think of two more challenging occupations. It's time for some straight talk, okay? Simply treating all the school systems, oh, you're doing a great job, everyone's working so hard, we're all in this together. Bull crap, okay? I just said it. I should have said something different, but let me tell you something. That type of language, just saying everything's fine, everything's okay, we got to get past that. We need to demand accountability. It's us. It's us. It's right here. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, with deference to our new president, and I'm happy, I thought he gave a wonderful speech. My brothers and sisters, please help me in reopening schools. Thank you.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator D. Steph, rise?
Mr. President, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator, has the floor.
Mr. President, I've chosen again to forego my spotlight on the parole board's ongoing release of cold-blooded killers, rapists, dangerous child sexual predators, as well as other violent criminals across the Commonwealth into our neighborhoods. Today, I want to again focus on the issues that we're having with getting the vaccine into the arm of our citizens. The largest and most populated city in Virginia that enjoys a number of tourists that more than doubles the entire state's population has not transitioned to phase 1B. Not because they're not ready, not because there aren't enough doses available for them to do so. In fact, Virginia Beach has the infrastructure and supplies ready and waiting on the governor. 2 weeks ago, the Surgeon General told the states and governors, move quickly to other priority groups if your demand isn't there in 1A. Go to 1B, go to 1C. The most important thing is to get the inoculations into the arms of our citizens. Yet again, Virginia Beach sits in phase 1, waiting on the governor, waiting on the administration. The city of Virginia Beach has developed a portal, and it's been tested to facilitate the registration process for those residents eligible under Phase 1B and beyond. They moved resources from other activities to do so because they see it as a priority. The city manager has declared as soon as VDH authorizes the transition to 1B, they're ready to go. Why, you ask, Mr. President? Because the city of Virginia Beach, with its 500,000 residents and 20 million visitors a year, see vaccinating our population as a priority. So why is the largest city in Virginia still in 1A? We have everything we need to administer the vaccine. The numbers on the VDH website would suggest there's currently almost 600,000 doses distributed to the state, ready to be used, that have yet to go into the arm of a citizen. HHS Secretary Alex Azar said every vaccine dose sitting in a warehouse rather than going into the arm could mean one more death that could have been avoided. People are entitled to their own opinions, but not their own facts. I continue to cite or provide my sources. While I know some would like to blame the president for his administration's failure, it is plainly obvious that 47 other states have done this better than we have. They've achieved their positive results under the exact same president. The CDC reported at 10 a.m. this morning that we're still number 48 in getting vaccines into the arms of our citizens. That's what we need, results, not excuses. Mr. President, the federal government is supplying the states with vaccines, and it's duly the state's responsibilities to distribute the vaccine and get it into the arms of the citizens. The states that do not administer the supply they are given, the federal government is going to divert future supplies to the states that will. The states that can efficiently and effectively administer the vaccines will get and receive additional doses. Mr. President, have we not received an additional vaccine supply since the 13th of January because we already have 583,349 doses still waiting to go in the arms of our citizens? Back on December 13th, Virginia received its first batch of doses. But it wasn't until 3 weeks later the governor appointed Dr. Avula to manage and lead the vaccination efforts. I liken this to deciding you need a football coach after the third quarter ends. Instead of wasting time and efforts trying to defend the administration's poor performance, can we not come together, recognize the importance of this problem, and just work on it collaboratively to fix it? Surely the senators serving the peninsulas have heard, like I have, from their local leaders and city managers with their frustrations. Simply put, the success of an efficient rollout benefits all Virginians, and that's what I want. 27 health districts across the Commonwealth are in Phase 1B. Virginia Beach and 7 others are still in 1A. And not because we're not prepared, not because we don't have the infrastructure, not because we don't have the vaccines, because we're waiting on direction from the governor and the administration to move from Phase 1A to Phase 1B. So I ask you, Mr. President, I ask the governor, why? What are we waiting on? This is a problem we need to fix through open communications and real action by leaders. Now is not the time for excuses. Now is the time for action. Now is the time for true leadership. Mr. President, please tell the governor, our governor, I'm available to meet and discuss how to solve this problem anytime, any place, because this is my priority. Thank you.
For what purpose is Senator from Eastern Fairfax? Senator Servell rise.
Rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator, has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, I could talk about all the murders and fraudsters and insiders that got pardoned over the last 4 years and about the rule of law, but I'll save that for another speech. You know, having to listen to the complaints about the vaccine is really rich for me. On February 7th of this year, Donald Trump stood up at a podium and he said, when we get into April, the warmer weather, that has a very negative effect on the virus, on this type of virus. Later that night, he met with Bob Woodward, and he told Bob Woodward, the virus is airborne, tricky, and more deadly than ever than your most strenuous flu. That's what he said on February the 7th, the same day he told the American public that this would all go away and there's nothing to worry about. And that was just the beginning of the misinformation campaign. February 26th, he said, this is just like the flu, just wash your hands, you don't need to wear masks, don't worry about it. February 27th, he said it's going to disappear. One day, it's like a miracle, it's going to disappear. On March the 2nd, the leader of the Republican Party said the pharmaceutical companies are going to have vaccines, I think, relatively soon. Told the American public that. Nothing to worry about. On March the 19th, he said, to be honest, he told Bob Woodward, he always wants to play it down. He likes playing it down because he doesn't want to create a panic. How do we end up where we are today? He then let this, this all led to Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, Breitbart, Parler, the entire conservative media infrastructure putting our country in a situation where this entire situation became politicized instead of being the national emergency that it should have been. And people are still continuing to politicize this situation. On April the 3rd, the president ordered the CDC to change the guidelines on masks. The president himself even wouldn't put a mask on until July. Continued spreading misinformation that masks reduce oxygen, trap fungus, trap coronavirus, that masks just don't even work. And this continued to be repeated and repeated and repeated in the conservative media ecosphere. The president even told the public that a CDC study showed that 85% of the people wearing masks catch the virus. He went on to say in April that you can get rid of this by putting UV light down your throat, by injecting bleach. Told everybody that hydroxychloroquine would solve problems, causing at least some people to actually ingest that stuff and kill themselves. May the 8th, he said coronavirus is going to go away without a vaccine. We're never going to see it again, hopefully after a period of time. In May, he also said the numbers are looking much better. They're going down everywhere. Everything's coming way down. May 11th, he started telling everybody that America's testing capacity was great. We conducted more testing than anybody in the world. And then he started saying the only reason that the numbers are going up was because we were doing testing. How did we get in this situation? How did this become so politicized? How are so many people dead? It's because of a lot of the rhetoric that goes around and the misinformation. He told people in June, it's fading away, it's going to fade away. He said it's getting under control. July 4th, he said 99% of COVID cases are totally harmless. Totally harmless. And I think we in this chamber know it's not harmless at all. He told people we have the lowest mortality rate in the world. We have nothing to worry about. He said children are virtually immune. He told people in August, we're rounding the corner. In September, we're weeks away from a vaccine. And then he started to attack doctors. He attacked scientists. When he himself got sick, he got out of the hospital and told people, don't worry about it. He said, don't let it dominate you. And where are we today? 402,272 Americans are dead. That's equal to 5% of the population of Virginia. 2 Senate districts worth of Americans are now dead because of how this issue got politicized. 5,798 Virginians are now dead because of how this got politicized. We need to be careful about the misinformation that we put out when we talk to people, we talk to the public. We need to try to stop politicizing this issue and try to work together to solve it. You want to know why we don't have vaccines? It's because we put a vegetarian in charge of a butcher shop who appointed a bunch of incompetent people to run the effort. We don't have the vaccines because this whole situation is a mess because of how it's been handled by the man who just got replaced a couple hours ago. And now having to listen to these speeches from my perspective is like listening to an arsonist complain about how long it's taken the fire department to arrive. It's totally disingenuous. Mr. President, I will say that I will start listening to the other side about vaccines when I start to hear them being critical of what happened over the last 12 months in America, because it was embarrassing to this country. It has been destructive of this country and has been incredibly deadly. More people are now dead than have been killed in World War II, way more than they ever saw at 9/11. The whole thing is just sad. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senior senator from Chesapeake, Senator Cosgrove, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege.
Senator, it's the floor.
I was just going to talk about some of the things that Senator Peterson was saying, and I would like to offer up, actually, my Chief of Staff, Christy Craig. She actually serves on the school board in Chesapeake. Talk to her firsthand and see what's going on there. We do have schools that are open. I totally agree with the senator that we need to get schools back open. We need to get our kids back in face-to-face learning. The second point I'll bring up now, basically, is there wouldn't be a vaccine if it wasn't for Donald Trump. You can sit there and you can whine and moan and just do all you want to say, but this vaccine was produced faster than any other vaccine ever in the history of this world. I hope that you will listen to the current president and stop jumping up and down and pointing fingers and being negative. It's happened for the last 2 years here. And I've never gotten up and said a word about it. Some of the folks from Fairfax County, described him as the orange man in the White House. Well, that's fine. But let's give President Biden a chance to make some headway and not regurgitate what the liberal media has said for the last 4 years. You do nothing but cause hate and discontent on this floor when you do something like that. I've had it. And from now on, when somebody does, I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight back. Thank you, Mr. President.
For what purpose does the junior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi, rise?
For a point of personal privilege, Mr. President.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, today the first woman was inaugurated as Vice President of the United States. And it's hard for me to put into words how truly profound this moment is, not just for me, but for my daughters, and I imagine for so many other women throughout this country. For me, however, this moment feels even more deeply personal. Like our new Vice President, I share a South Asian background. Like our new Vice President and her mother, I am an immigrant and a child of immigrants who sought out a life in this country that was so much more than a simple desire for economic advancement. The perspective of the immigrant is often a unique one. We bring with us the dreams and the aspirations of our ancestors. We see this country, we see America for both what it is in all of its rich and complex realities, but also we see America for all that it aspires to be. An ideal of democracy built on integrity, built on the concepts of justice, built on the aspiration that the individual voice of the common person is as powerful as the voice of a king. These are the dreams and the aspirations that sustain us all. And it is such an immense honor that I have the privilege of witnessing the inauguration of the first woman, the first South Asian, the first Black woman as Vice President. From the floor of this Senate, the Senate of Virginia, and as a member of this august and historic body, I'm deeply conscious and deeply humbled by this honor. Mr. President, today I'm especially thinking about my late maternal grandmother, my grandmother who was the first and the most important influence in my life as a woman. She spent her entire life in India, and she had just a third-grade education, but she was one of the sharpest individuals I've ever known. She was always a staunch advocate for women, for the advancement of women, and for the leadership that women can provide to our communities. She would have been so proud today that a woman descended from an Indian immigrant, a woman whose name is Kamala Devi, is now the Vice President of these United States. Mr. President, the world is celebrating with us. Thank you.
Thank the Senator. For what purpose does the Senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben, rise?
For a brief point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, to report to the body just some nonpartisan facts. As the senior senator from Fairfax said yesterday, only 13 states had given more shots than Virginia, which continues to be accurate as of last night's statistics. Virginia is the 12th largest state, so that's about right, but not enough. Right now, shot giving in Virginia is outpacing the supply that we're receiving from the federal government under the leadership of the governor. Virginia is administering an average of 19,000 shots per day. That's more than 5,000 per day than we're receiving from the federal government. And notably, that is more than double the vaccinations we were giving per day 2 weeks ago when the governor rolled out aggressive new measures to get shots in arms, expanding eligibility, a use it or lose it policy, and bringing on a vaccine field general. So I think that we're moving in the right direction, and I want to commend the governor for that and encourage more of the same.
what purpose is the senator from Henrico, Senator Dunham, rise?
Mr. President, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, it just occurs to me as I hear the conversation on the floor today, and I reference some points of personal privilege I had yesterday, that our goal here, I think, is really not to relitigate on either side opinions of what happened, but to constructively do things that can make a difference for our citizens. We know that getting vaccinations is a real problem for the elderly, for lots of people in the state. It's a problem we all agree on, good starting point. So constructively, instead of talking about what's happened, maybe we could talk about how to make it happen going forward, because that's why we're here. And I think you're going to see some legislation that reflects the willingness of the healthcare providers in Virginia to step forward and provide a workforce to vaccinate the greatest quantity of vaccines we can get and accelerate this process. And I think that's a really productive conversation that we can have going forward. I bet there's other ideas if we actually spend our time talking about solutions. Regarding prior point of personal privilege from Senator Peterson regarding schools, the data asserts that what he is saying is 100% right. We are here to solve problems together in a productive way. We need to solve this problem for our students. I think we all know it intuitively, that in-person schools must be available for the kids who cannot succeed out of school. We must do this. And it is vaccines and in-person education are the two most important things we can do for our constituents. Let's please do it constructively. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senior senator from Fairfax, Senator Saslaw, rise?
Mr. President, just a brief personal privilege. The
senator has the
senator from Alexandria must have gotten the same email from Clark Mercer that I got, because that's what I was going to give. But with respect to reopening of public schools, I asked the Secretary of Education yesterday as to what their schedule was for vaccinating. That's both shots. All the teachers in Virginia indicated to me they hope to have it done by sometime in March. And if indeed that happens, it's a pretty hopeful sign of getting the schools reopened, fairly quickly. And I know when I talked to the senator from Fairfax City, he indicated, that hopefully by the end of the year they would all be open, and I would hope that they would. And certainly if they're vaccinated on the schedule that was indicated to me yesterday or the day before, then that should resolve that problem. Finally, I might say to the senior senator from Chesapeake, I don't think it was the liberal media that imagined what happened 2 weeks ago at the Capitol. Unless there's something wrong with my eyesight, it seemed to be a mess down there, and it wasn't caused by the liberal media. So anyway, it's all over, it's all done for, and hopefully we won't be dealing with this, anymore. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose is the senator from James City County, Senator Norment, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. Point of personal privilege from a little different perspective on some issues.
Senator has the floor.
Mr. President, first of all, I would say with enormous respect, I appreciate the historical nature of what is taking place on a national arena here today. And it is certainly worthy of some accolades. There's something else that is historical going on that has no relationship to what's happening in Washington, D.C. today. We went through a regular session last year in 2020 of 65 days. We went through a special session of 84 days. There was a request for a 30-day session today, and it is apparent, and I respect it, going to be a gubernatorial proclamation for another special session. If you look in the last 14 months, how much time this part-time citizen legislator has spent in trying to move Virginia forward and deal with the everyday business, but also the crises that we have to do. I think it causes some reflection. And what I'm about to say, I say from a nonpartisan, impartial perspective. In the last 2 days, we have spent more time arguing back and forth, tit for tat, on political issues than we have focused on legislative and policy issues. And Mr. President, I would respectfully ask that all members of this body give some serious reflection onto the points of personal privilege that they are making and the tone and the rhetoric that is incorporated in those remarks. Because every time there is a vituperative remark that is made on a point of personal privilege on one side, you can well anticipate that there is going to be a response from the other side. I appreciate that the vaccine issue has a national overtone to it. However, I do think that we can concentrate on what has taken place in the Commonwealth of Virginia based upon verifiable facts. And let's restrict our discussions to that which is affecting Virginia. With all due respect, I have very little interest in the chronology of what the former President of the United States of America is doing. I am very concerned about the chronology of what is happening in the Commonwealth of Virginia, and not what we can do to criticize it, not what we can do to tear it down, but what can we do to try to improve on the distribution of the doses that are available to inoculate our citizens in Virginia. So I would just say, I am very familiar with the Greek word catharsis. And everyone in here knows that that word means that there are so many things pinned up and rumbling inside of me that I just have to get it out because it makes me feel better. One of the things about catharsis is it may make the individual feel better. It does not necessarily make the universe feel better, and it can certainly instigate additional responses. So I would just call upon all of us to be more reflective when we stand up on our points of personal privilege and be mindful that the incendiary remarks that we may make are going to have us continuing points of personal privilege longer than we are debating important public policies.
What purpose does the junior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator Kiggins, rise?
Mr. President, I rise for a point of personal privilege.
Senator, has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to say thank you to a couple different people. The senator from Fairfax City for bringing up the issue of education, getting our kids back in school, and the senator from Henrico, and even the senior senator from Fairfax County for the timeline of possibly getting our kids back in school. This is an issue that, gosh, I've been waiting to talk about. You know, I've spent about 8 hours in the past 2 days discussing legalization of marijuana, and that's been an education for me. And I've spent more time than I ever wanted to listening to bickering from within ourselves and just amongst each other. So I am very pleased that we are finally talking about issues that are important to all Virginians, and that's the issue of getting our kids back in school. The senator from Fairfax City mentioned, you know, looking to how other states and how other states have done it and how other states are back in school. And he mentioned some of the governors. And I do think it's some top-down leadership. And those of you who may have an audience with people who can make those decisions, I encourage you to continue to advocate for getting our kids back in person. But you don't have to look to other states to see how to do this safely. My children are fortunate to have been in person in school, 3 different schools since August. But I've seen how those schools have done it. They've adapted, they have spent money, they have changed. It's different. It looks different for the kids, different from the parents, but we've all adapted. And they've stayed in school. We've had a school nurse in each of my kids' school who've been in school, and those guys have been instrumental just in tracking and tracing. We had positive cases. The kids had to stay home those 2 weeks, but even those 2 weeks, and my kids were so upset about not being in school. The kids are really having a lot of just struggling mental health-wise, and that's what I worry about the most. I've heard from my mom friends, from neighbors, from just other people in the carpool line. We're all worried about just the mental health of our kids. It can't be underestimated. I know that we've each heard just sad stories of suicide rates increasing and anxiety and depression, and these are things that are going to have long-term consequences for our children. So making this issue a priority just cannot be understated. You know, these kids are a voiceless group. We hear from constituents. They call us, they email us, they write on our social media pages. But our teenagers and our elementary, middle school students, these guys don't call us. How many phone calls and emails do we get from kids these days? Every once in a while, but just not often. They're a voiceless group that really need us to advocate for them. So again, and the senator from Henrico mentioned some of the things that will be coming up in legislation, prioritizing the vaccines for our school teachers, administrators, staff. You know, you'll hear me talk again and again about the concept of school nurses, just because I've seen it be instrumental in my own children's school. So I want to prioritize this issue. Let's continue these discussions about what's important to Virginians, what's important to parents, to students, to the future of our Commonwealth. Thank you very much.
Thank the senator. For what purpose, the senator from Lynchburg, Senator Peake, rise?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. President, for a point of personal privilege.
Senator has the floor.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. And I'll say, as we were coming back from Republican caucus this afternoon, the fine, reserved, quiet senator from Washington asked me if I was going to yell at y'all again today. And I promise you that I am not, that I am in a fantastic mood today, Mr. President. And I've listened to the talks, and I apologize for talking personal privilege 2 days in a row, and I promise I'm going to try and cut it out for the rest of the session. But this is a fantastic day. And what has been just a horribly, horribly difficult year. But I ask almost all of y'all were here in 2019, July of 2019, when we were in Williamsburg to celebrate 400 years of democracy that started right here in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. And what a great celebration that was. And then we come forward and we have this coronavirus pandemic that we've been dealing with for the past year. The country's been shut down. The Commonwealth's been shut down. Small businesses have closed down. Schools have closed down. But we're all still fighting. Our economy is doing the best it can. And I agree with the senator from Fairfax City. We need to open our schools back to get our kids educated, so then we can also open up our economy so people can get back to work. But we are fighting. The country's fighting. We have to do it here in the Commonwealth. The senator from Henrico talked about it. We, from both sides of the aisle, have proposals on how to get our vaccinations out, on how to open our economy up, how to get our people back to work. And I think we will be doing that on the national level. We have to look at what just happened on the national level. 12 years ago, when Barack Hussein Obama, with a foreign-sounding name, became the first black president in this country, there are many people on my side of the aisle who say, oh my gosh, this is the end of the country. Look at Medicare for all, health care for all. That's going to kill capitalism and doomsday. And people were very negative. And our country survived. I said, listen, we've been through a lot. We've been through world wars. We've had the White House invaded by the British in 1812, the War for Independence. We're going to make it. This country is great. Look at the people here. We are going to do well. And then Donald Trump became president. And many people on the other side were protesting in Washington on the streets on the day of the inauguration. There were marches. They were calling him vile names. This is the end of the country. And there were things that he did. This is the end of the country. Can we survive this? We won't survive this. But we did survive this. And what happened 2 weeks ago, just 2 weeks ago, a horrible, horrible event where people broke into our Capitol. It's the first time since 1814. Order was restored. Peace has been restored. There were thoughts that there would be riots and shootings, not right here in Richmond. The streets were blocked off. Nothing happened. Just like last year on lobby day, nothing happened. Capitals across this whole country were protected and nothing happened. And this country is still surviving. And today we just had the transfer of power that we got to watch. Lady Gaga, who I'm not a great fan of, great song, great voice. Garth Brooks, who I am a fan of, great song, great voice. Nice prayer, nice acceptance speech. Transfer of power has taken place. No violence. We have a new president. We have a new vice president. The first woman vice president. The first African American vice president. Our country will continue. Our Commonwealth will continue. We will fight this coronavirus. We will get the vaccinations out. We will get our schools open. And we will prosper again because we are the greatest state and the greatest country the world has ever known. Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Peterson. We get those schools opened. Thank goodness we have 7 or 8 bills apiece. We have very good bills for the most part this year. And a lot of them are focusing on solving the problems that we have now. We have got to move forward as a Commonwealth. We've got to move forward together. We've got to solve these problems. I think we're ready to do it. I can tell by the tone. I can tell by the way the committee meetings have gone. I will not yell at y'all anymore this session. Thank you for your time.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan, rise?
I promise to be quick, but I learned as a mother that you must always be careful about letting small points slip away because they often go unchecked. I need to say with great passion, vaccination for our teachers is not a prerequisite for schools to open. It is a huge priority and it is a valuable asset, but we cannot let attrition continue to come up with reasons why schools cannot open. Our child care providers and our private teachers have been open without vaccinations this whole time. There is no way to look at the data and the risk for our children and the children who are placed at risk for not being in person and assert anything other than we must have them back in schools available as quickly as possible. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank the senator. For what purpose does the senior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase, rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise for the point of a personal privilege.
Senator, has the floor.
Mr. President, I would just like to thank the senator from Fairfax City for his comments and those of the senator from Henrico in regards to opening our schools. That has been one of my top issues and one of the top issues for many parents across Virginia, and I just wanted to talk about one particular example and then I'll close. I had one mother who's actually a grandmother, and she was talking about how one of her sons was actually supposed to take an online class. And because they live in a part of Virginia, in Southwest Virginia, they don't have very good access to the internet. And as a result, her son was not able to participate in the class. Weeks later, she herself, as a mom, would be investigated for truancy, for not under a criminal investigation for not having her kid in school. Mr. President, that just really broke my heart to think that because of the situation with COVID, that we now have a mom, a grandmother, who has a heart for her kids, that wants the best for her kids and their education, does not have the ability for her child to participate in an online class, and now she is facing criminal penalties for that under truancy. So, Mr. President, I just want to express to the body my desire. This is an issue, a bipartisan issue that I'm excited to work on with those in this room who are willing to work on this issue, and I applaud you and want to be a part of that solution. I think that is one of the largest issues affecting everyday families today, and I look forward to working with everyone on this issue. Thank you.
Do any other senators wish to be recognized? Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, the clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Today, Wednesday, January 20th, the Committee on General Laws and Technology excuse me, will meet 1/2 hour after adjournment in the East Committee Room. The Committee on the Judiciary will meet 1/2 hour after adjournment in the West Committee Room. The Finance and Appropriations Subcommittee on Transportation will meet at 4 p.m. in the Senate chamber here at the Science Museum. Senators Barker, Saslaw, Hanger, Newman, Deeds, Marsden, and McClellan. Tomorrow, Thursday, January 21st, the Committee on Education and Health will meet at 8 a.m. West Committee Room. The Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources Subcommittee on Companion Animals will meet at 9 a.m. in the East Committee Room. Senators Marsden, Favola, and Pillion. The Democratic Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in the Democratic Caucus Room, and the Republican Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in the Republican Caucus Room.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any other business to come before the Senate? Seeing none, I call on the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon on tomorrow.
Thank the senator. The question is, shall the Senate stand adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Senate stands adjourned until 12 noon tomorrow.